At 4 o'clock in the morning on November 1st, 2001, a young woman stepped out of her friend's car after a Halloween celebration. She waved goodbye, walked toward her apartment building, and was never seen again, just a pink rabbit costume and a trail that ended the moment she disappeared into the darkness. This is the story of Hyang Jong Cindy Song, a 21-year-old college student who disappeared on the 1st of November, 2001, after a Halloween celebration. Her case has haunted investigators, devastated her family, and left an entire community searching for answers that remain just out of reach. Welcome to Cold Case Chronicle. I'm bringing you the unsolved disappearance of Cindy Song, a case that has baffled investigators for over 2 decades. If you're passionate about true crime and want to help bring awareness to cases like Cindy's, please hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with your thoughts, and give this video a like. Your support helps us shine a light on these forgotten stories. Hyang Jong Cindy Song was born on February 25, 1980, in Seoul, South Korea. She spent her early childhood immersed in the vibrant culture of the city, surrounded by family and the energy of urban life. Those who knew her during her teenage years described Cindy as independent, cheerful, and creative, qualities that would define her personality throughout her life. In 1995, at just 15 years old, Cindy made a life-changing move. She relocated to the United States to live with her aunt and uncle in Springfield, Virginia, just outside Alexandria. For Cindy, this represented freedom, opportunity, and adventure. Friends later recalled that she embraced every moment of her newfound independence in America. Cindy attended high school in Virginia, where she adapted remarkably well. She balanced her studies with active involvement in her school community, building friendships and finding her place in a new culture. After graduating high school, Cindy enrolled at Pennsylvania State University, choosing to major in integrative arts, a field that reflected her creative spirit and passion for design. At Penn State, she thrived. Cindy became an active member of the Korean Undergraduate Student Association, volunteered with the Red Cross, and joined an advertising club. She maintained solid grades while working 2 jobs to support herself financially. Her friends painted a picture of someone responsible, hardworking, and deeply social. Though Cindy enjoyed spontaneous adventures and nights out with friends, they emphasized one crucial detail. She was grounded and reliable. She wasn't someone who would simply vanish without telling anyone. She wasn't impulsive or reckless. She had responsibilities, and she honored them. She had connections, and she valued them. She had a future, and she was excited about it. By the fall of 2001, Cindy was preparing to graduate that coming spring. By every account, she seemed happy, focused, and excited about what lay ahead. She had concert tickets purchased for upcoming Britney Spears shows. She had placed an order for a new computer scheduled to arrive on November 6th. She had plans. She had dreams. She had every reason to stay. Halloween night fell on a Wednesday in 2001, the perfect excuse for college students to celebrate midweek. Cindy decided to join 2 close friends, Stacy Pike and Lisa Kim, for a night of partying. Their destination was Players Nightclub, a popular student venue on West College Avenue in State College, Pennsylvania. Cindy dressed in a playful rabbit costume for the occasion. It was cheerful, fun, and perfectly suited to her personality. Lisa later remembered. She had bunny ears and a tail that she had bought. It was a very cute outfit. It wasn't like a provocative outfit. That was her thing. She was very cute. She liked to look cute. The costume consisted of a pink sleeveless shirt with a rabbit design on the front, white rabbit ears perched on her head, a white tennis skirt with a cotton bunny tail attached to the back, brown suede leather knee-high boots, and a red knee-length hooded parka jacket to keep warm in the late October chill. The 3 friends arrived at Players Nightclub and spent the evening dancing, socializing, and enjoying the Halloween atmosphere. They danced and drank until around 2 o'clock in the morning on November 1st. Cindy had consumed alcohol that night and was mildly intoxicated, but nothing about her behavior or mood seemed unusual. She appeared upbeat and cheerful, just enjoying a night out with friends. There were no arguments, no distressing conversations, no signs of trouble. After leaving Players, the group visited another friend's apartment to play video games, spending roughly 2 hours there. Everything seemed completely normal. Cindy was in good spirits, laughing and joking with her friends. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, to suggest that anything was wrong or that she was in any danger. Just before dawn, at approximately 4 o'clock in the morning, Stacy Pike drove Cindy home to her apartment at State College Park Apartments on Blue Course Drive. The complex was typical student housing, located in a reasonably safe area frequented by Penn State students. Stacy pulled up in front of the building, the two exchanged goodbyes, and Stacy drove away. Later, Stacy would note something significant. She did not actually see Cindy enter the apartment complex. She didn't watch her friend walk through the door. She didn't wait to make sure Cindy got inside safely. She simply said goodbye and left, assuming, as anyone would, that Cindy would walk the short distance to her apartment and go to bed. That moment, Cindy stepping out of the car at 4 a.m. on November 1st, 2001, was the last confirmed sighting of her. Cindy Song was never seen again. The morning after the Halloween celebrations, friends noticed Cindy's absence. Because she was known to be independent and sometimes spent time away from her apartment, they initially weren't alarmed. They assumed she was sleeping off the night before, studying at the library, or visiting someone. College students often have irregular schedules, and Cindy was no exception. But concern grew when Cindy failed to show up for her shift at the Korean restaurant where she worked. This was completely out of character. Cindy was responsible. She valued her jobs. She didn't miss shifts without calling. She didn't ignore her obligations. Her coworkers knew immediately that something was wrong. Friends began calling her cell phone. No answer. They sent emails. No response. They stopped by her apartment. No one came to the door. The silence was deafening and increasingly frightening. By November 4th, 3 days without any contact, friends officially reported her as a missing person to the Ferguson Township Police Department. They emphasized to police that Cindy would not voluntarily cut off communication for this long. They explained her character, her reliability, her strong social connections. They made it clear something terrible had happened. Authorities took the report seriously and immediately launched an investigation. The Ferguson Township Police Department took charge of the case, as Cindy's apartment fell under their jurisdiction. Detective Brian Sprinkle became the lead investigator, and he would spend years pursuing every possible lead in this baffling disappearance. From the very beginning, the investigation faced significant challenges. There were no witnesses to what happened after 4 a.m. There was no confirmed timeline beyond that final car ride home. And perhaps most troubling, there was no obvious crime scene. When police searched Cindy's apartment, they found no signs of a struggle or forced entry. The door was locked. The windows were secure. Nothing appeared disturbed or out of place. This strongly suggested that Cindy had made it safely inside after being dropped off by Stacy. Several details supported this theory. Her false eyelashes, worn as part of her Halloween costume, were found on a counter. This indicated she had removed them, something she would only do inside her apartment, probably in front of a mirror as she prepared for bed. The backpack she'd carried that night was in her bedroom, right where she would have placed it upon arriving home. Her cell phone, which she almost never left behind, was still inside her bag. Her computer showed normal activity, but there were no recent emails or online messages suggesting travel plans, distress, or any intention to leave. No goodbye messages. No airline tickets purchased. No bus schedules searched. No indication whatsoever that she was planning to go anywhere. But here's what made investigators deeply uneasy. Cindy's rabbit costume, the pink shirt, the white skirt, the bunny ears and tail, was missing. The clothing she was last seen wearing was nowhere in the apartment. Her purse, containing her driver's license and credit cards, was also gone. Her wallet, her identification, all missing. These missing items suggested something deeply troubling. It appeared that Cindy had left her apartment again, voluntarily, after going inside. She had removed her false eyelashes, perhaps changed or adjusted her clothing, and then walked back out into the darkness carrying her purse. But why? Where was she going at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning? Who was she meeting? Or was she alone when she left? Detective Sprinkle later emphasized the difficulty of the case in media interviews. We have no body. We have no crime scene, and we have no actual crime. So, it's been very frustrating. It seems like she just vanished into thin air. Without physical evidence, without witnesses, without any clear indication of what happened, investigators were working blind. They had theories, but no proof. They had suspicions, but no suspects. They had questions, but precious few answers. Investigators attempted to reconstruct what might have happened after Cindy returned home that morning. They developed several working theories, each plausible, each disturbing in its own way. One theory involved a trip to a 24-hour market. Friends told police it wasn't unusual for Cindy to make late-night visits to a nearby supermarket. She often walked there to pick up snacks, drinks, or other small items. The walk wasn't particularly long or dangerous during daylight hours, but at 4 or 5 in the morning, in the darkness before dawn, anything could happen. If she left her apartment shortly after arriving home, perhaps hungry after a night of drinking and dancing, she may have encountered someone dangerous along the way. A predator, an opportunist, someone who saw a young woman alone and vulnerable. Another possibility was that she left with someone she knew. Given the lack of forced entry or signs of struggle inside her apartment, investigators theorized that Cindy might have opened her door willingly to someone familiar. Perhaps a friend called or knocked, asking her to come out for breakfast or to continue the party. Perhaps she accepted a ride or stepped out briefly, intending to return in minutes. She may have grabbed her purse and left, fully expecting to be back before sunrise, never imagining she wouldn't return. A third theory suggested abduction outside the apartment. Because her purse and costume were missing, it's possible Cindy walked a short distance from her building, perhaps to her car, perhaps to a parking lot, perhaps just outside the door, and was taken quickly, forcibly, before she could scream or fight back. With no surveillance cameras in the parking lot at the time, this scenario couldn't be ruled out. A stranger could have grabbed her, forced her into a vehicle, and driven away, all within seconds, all without anyone seeing or hearing a thing. The idea of voluntary disappearance was considered but quickly dismissed. Cindy's friends and family insisted she had no personal problems, no mental health struggles, and absolutely no reason to run away. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't in trouble. She wasn't fleeing an abusive relationship or escaping debts. She had plans for the future, including tickets to 2 upcoming Britney Spears concerts and a computer order scheduled for delivery on November 6th. These weren't the actions of someone planning to disappear. Police found no evidence whatsoever to support the theory that she left willingly. No money withdrawn from her bank account. No belongings packed. No farewell notes. Nothing. So what happened to Cindy Song? Soon after Cindy was reported missing, police and volunteers conducted extensive searches of wooded areas near campus and locations she was known to visit. Search parties combed through forests, fields, and abandoned buildings. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Helicopters scanned from above. Divers searched bodies of water. Sadly, these searches produced no evidence, nothing to indicate where she had gone or what had happened to her. Investigators examined her credit card activity, phone usage, and email accounts meticulously. There were no transactions, no calls, and no electronic communication after 4 a.m., reinforcing the theory that something happened shortly after she returned home. Whatever occurred happened quickly, within a very narrow window of time. A significant setback occurred when Cindy's family, who had flown in from South Korea in a state of shock and grief, cleaned her apartment after the initial police search. Though done with the best intentions, they were trying to be helpful, trying to keep busy, trying to do something while feeling utterly helpless. This unintentionally destroyed any potential forensic evidence that police might have overlooked during their first sweep. Fingerprints were wiped away. Surfaces were cleaned. Items were moved or discarded. The apartment, which might have held crucial clues, was essentially sanitized. Investigators were frustrated but understood the family's actions. They weren't trying to hide evidence. They were grieving parents trying to maintain some connection to their missing daughter. One of the earliest major leads appeared in December of 2001, just weeks after Cindy's disappearance. A woman came forward claiming she had witnessed a disturbing incident in Philadelphia's Chinatown district, roughly 200 miles from Penn State. She reported seeing a struggle on the street. According to her account, a woman resembling Cindy was being forced into a vehicle by an unidentified man. The woman was screaming and crying for help while the man physically manhandled her into the car. When the witness approached or called out, the man allegedly ordered her to leave, to mind her own business, to walk away. Frightened, the witness complied, but the incident haunted her. When she later saw news coverage of Cindy's disappearance, she believed the woman she'd seen was Cindy Song. Police took the report seriously and worked with the witness to create a composite sketch based on her description. The man was described as Asian with an olive to light brown complexion and medium-length hair. Police emphasized he was not officially a suspect. They simply wanted to question him as a possible witness. They released the sketch to the public, hoping someone would recognize him. However, the usefulness of this tip diminished over time. Investigators later reported that the witness changed parts of her story during follow-up interviews. Details shifted. The timeline became unclear. Her certainty wavered. They were unable to verify the incident or confirm the identity of the woman involved. Was it really Cindy? Or was it another Asian woman in distress? Or did the witness, influenced by media coverage, convince herself she'd seen something she hadn't? Despite these inconsistencies, the lead has never been fully eliminated. It remains in the case file, unresolved and unverified, one more tantalizing possibility that might be everything or might be nothing. In 2003, another potential lead emerged that would become one of the most disturbing and controversial aspects of this case. Investigators uncovered multiple human remains on the property of Hugo Marcus Selinski, a Pennsylvania bank robber later suspected of multiple murders. Selinski, along with an alleged accomplice named Michael Kurkowski Jr., became a subject of interest when Selinski later claimed involvement in Cindy's disappearance. According to his account, which he shared with investigators and other inmates, he and Kurkowski encountered Cindy near Penn State, mistakenly believing she was a woman working in the adult entertainment industry. They thought she was a prostitute. He claimed they abducted her and held her captive in a walk-in safe on Selinski's property until she died. He described the abduction in chilling detail, explaining how they kept her imprisoned, how she suffered, how she eventually perished. Selinski further claimed that Kurkowski kept Cindy's bunny ears as a souvenir, a macabre trophy from their crime. He then said he later killed Kurkowski when he learned of this, or perhaps for other reasons entirely. Kurkowski could neither confirm nor deny the story because his remains were among those found on Selinski's property, discovered during the investigation that first brought Selinski to the attention of authorities. A friend of Selinski told police that Selinski had boasted about Cindy's murder, adding another layer to this disturbing narrative. The friend claimed Selinski spoke about the abduction casually, almost proudly, as if it were just another crime in a long list of violent acts. But here's the problem. Despite the sensational nature of these claims, no physical evidence ever linked Selinski to Cindy. No bunny ears were found among his possessions. No remains matching Cindy's description were discovered on his property. No DNA. No forensic connection. Nothing. Selinski was a known liar and manipulator. He had every reason to fabricate stories, to gain notoriety, to negotiate plea deals, to torment investigators and families. His credibility was virtually non-existent. While investigators have not ruled him out, they could not corroborate his story. They couldn't prove he was lying, but they also couldn't prove he was telling the truth. Selinski was acquitted of murder charges unrelated to Cindy, but was later convicted of abusing corpses desecrating the remains of individuals found on his property. He remains incarcerated, and the question of his involvement in Cindy's disappearance remains unresolved and unproven. To this day, the Selinski lead remains one of the most frustrating aspects of this case. Did he really abduct and murder Cindy Song? Or was he simply a sadistic criminal who enjoyed inserting himself into a high-profile missing persons case? Without evidence, investigators simply cannot say. Over time, the lack of progress prompted frustration, particularly among Penn State's minority communities. Some criticized the pace and intensity of the investigation, suggesting that if Cindy had been white, the response might have been more aggressive, the resources more plentiful, the media coverage more extensive. These concerns reflected broad,